What up, everybody? We're here, Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia. You see the final score. I hate that they got it to 55. That really makes it look a lot uglier than it was. This thing was a lot closer for a lot of the game, but let's be real. Philly was a better team. They dominated the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. This is Beltway Football, Monumental Sports Network. The magical season for the Commanders has come to an end in the NFC title game at the hands of the damn Philadelphia Eagles. They were the better team tonight. They were helped by the refs, and they were helped by Washington. The Commanders had clean sheets throughout the playoffs. They put the ball on the ground today. The turnovers killed them. That late Eckler fumble was an absolute killer. Hello, Mitchell.
Listen, 2 of the 3 games they played against the Eagles found a way to turn them over consistently.
Yep.
And that was the difference. The refs were bad. The holding call on the 4th and 5 throw to A.J. Brown absolutely should have been called. A.J. Brown probably should have gotten an unsportsmanlike.
There's a lot.
The Sainers still out a late hit. All those were tough calls. But at the end of the day, you can't turn the ball over the way the Commanders did and expect to come out and win. And we saw the Eagles play a game today that Washington played the first 2 weeks of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They played a flawless, clean game. They kept ahead of the sticks. They played well on defense. They didn't give up the big plays, and they didn't turn the ball over. And it's been a hell of a season for these guys, but it's a disappointing way for this thing to end.
For sure. DJ, if we can, if you're listening on the podcast, go watch on the app. Let's set the scene here, because normally after one of these games, by the time we start doing the stream, it's pretty empty. But because this was an NFC Championship game, I mean, DJ, I don't know if you can show, they just did the trophy, the podium over there. I mean, there's people everywhere. There's
confetti all over
the ground.
I got to be honest, JP.
It just sucks. It's a bit of a gut punch being out here, frankly.
Listen, it was bad enough watching this game as we were watching it, and especially how it ended. It was bad enough standing out here watching them award the trophy.
I didn't watch. I went in the locker room.
But watching these Eagles fans run around throwing the football, celebrating, fake throwing confetti and all this stuff, that's the stuff that really is gnawing at me right now.
I do think I want to just. Well, we're dropping stuff.
Yeah, things are happening.
I want to be clear, though, dude. And people may disagree with me. Thank you, DJ. People may disagree. The better team did win tonight.
Absolutely.
And we can argue the difference between Washington and Philly. I think, the fact they played 3 times and had split prior to tonight. I don't think Philly's what's that final score, 30 points better? Yeah, Philly's not 30 points better.
Absolutely
Tonight,
not.
Washington didn't play their best. The penalties killed them. Penalties kept coming at terrible times. The McNichols fumble right after a touchdown was just a killer. The Eckler fumble was a killer. I don't know how you don't at least look at Biotish having the football after that pileup. I do think Philly kind of got possession right away on the fumble, but
it's at least close.
It's a pretty quick whistle.
Look at it, yeah.
But you and I talked about coming into this that my concern was I thought Philly was better on the O-line and the D-line, and I think we saw that tonight. I think they controlled the line of scrimmage and all the other things. I mean, look at Saquon's stats: 15 for $118 with 3 touchdowns. Hurts. 20-28. For all the talk of let Hurts beat you, he did. He was quite good. 20-28 for 245 and a touchdown.
That's the best Hurts has looked. And I agree. Listen,
is this his first ever playoff win, going over 150?
Over 155, his first career playoff win. And listen, they dominated.
I want to just real clear. If one of these
Yahoos
that is throwing this football around hits me with a football, I'm going freaking ballistic.
Listen, you want some stream numbers? You and I, a beat down on an Eagles fan, might do that. But listen, the Eagles definitely dominated the O-line and D-line. We knew coming into this game that was going to be the case. And I think the fact that Hurts was able to pick apart the secondary as much as he was, and
Lattimore was a problem.
Luvu did a really good job a couple times jumping snap counts.
Totally.
We'll get to the tush push stuff, I'm sure, at some
that
point.
Was wild.
But
I'm going to award you a touchdown.
The fact that they weren't able to get to Hurts and consistently was a problem. I think one of the biggest places this team needs to improve in the offseason is that defensive end. You need a real edge rusher that can get to the quarterback, but you also need these edge rushers that can set the edge. And that first Saquon Barkley 60-yard touchdown
they were attacking the edges, the perimeter runs all day.
They did that the last time back in D.C. Yeah. But that first run, you see Luvu get turned around inside a little bit. He reads it and tries to get out, but when the first step is inside, it's tough to recover. Bobby Wagner gets kind of caught up in the wash, and all of a sudden Saquon's out. And, there were guys could have made a tackle, here or there, but at the end of the day, it's been a consistent issue for this team all year long, and it showed up more today or as much today as it has.
Well, and I think part of that is Philly. Like you got to credit Philly. Now, I thought there was kind of some hope when Juergens was out. Dickerson had to go to center. They started the kid Steen with an N.
Tyler Steen.
And then Dickerson goes out. Juergens has to come in when he wasn't fit enough to start.
And Tyler Steen is staying in a guard.
And they were still able to just move the ball. I mean, dude, it's weird to me Saquon doesn't get that many carries. End of the third quarter, he had 12 carries.
They said that he was dealing with a little bit of a
calf
or ankle. But to that point,
although Shipley looked outrageous when he got in, game well left with a concussion. Yeah. Right. I mean, I get it.
But the Saquon injuries or whatever he was dealing with kind of points to the fact of some of the tackling issues this team had. They kept trying to go high on Saquon. He kept bouncing off them like a pinball, and they weren't able to get him down. Commanders should have been happy that Saquon only carried the ball, whatever the number 15. Was, 15 times, because that number this thing could have been. That could have really gotten out of hand.
I want to be clear. I mean, this was a hell of a year for Washington. Most of the guys in there, especially after the initial emotions, as guys were leaving, we were all kind of shaking hands. Hell of a year.
Yeah.
You left it all out there, and that is the overarching point. And we'll get to that. We'll have like a season-long appreciation pod. But in the moment of kind of getting your ass kicked in Philly, it's not exactly season-long appreciation pod time.
We're also talking about an NFC Championship game, and obviously,
and that Philly is loaded,
right?
Dude. That roster is loaded.
This Philly roster is 2 to 3 to 4 years ahead of where Washington is. And like you said, we're going to get to the feel good, happy, look at everything that's happened this season. You're seeing some of those great moments.
I mean, what stood out to me just now in the locker room is you saw, a lot of emotion. I saw Terry and Diami talking. I saw Eckler and B-Rob talking. Adam Peters, he does this after every game.
He does.
He goes to every player in the locker room. He makes his way around and just daps everybody up. And I saw Peters and Chin have this really long kind of conversation, and the guys in there started talking about, we know we're never going to have this group together again.
Right.
These decisions are going to come, and they're going to come fast. And coaching carousel stuff is going to come fast. I don't know that you're losing a coordinator. That's all anybody thinks about. There's going to be other guys you lose that get promotions to other jobs. Like some of these hot younger names that we've talked about all year, Rye, Blau, Simmons. People are going to make some calls, man.
Brian Johnson. There's some names.
There's going to be some fast-moving parts
as
here.
we talk about Adam Peters and some of these vets, Jeremy Chin. There are a bunch of
Wagner,
guys that were cast off into the NFL abyss. And you look at the hit rate of Adam Peters and everything that he was able to bring in here, it speaks to the organization, it speaks to the coaching staff, it speaks to the front office. And you talked about the post-game locker room. You had Terry kind of it was the largest show of leadership that I've seen from Terry McLaurin in his years in Washington. We walked into the locker room a good 20, 30 minutes after the game, and Terry's still in, not pads, but basically uniform, and he's walking around, dapping up, hugging each guy, talking to them, and that's the kind of leadership that you want. And I think, for all the years of talking about culture, you're seeing that kind of stuff. Jeremy Reeves, was distraught or borderline distraught.
Yeah. He's an emotional guy.
He's an emotional guy. You think about everything he's been through.
Sure. Losing his mom a couple years ago.
Sure, the injuries and being a quote-unquote just a special teams guy,
right.
But to have all the opportunities. And, these guys, as much as they're excited about where this franchise is, there's no guarantees that this thing's ever going to happen again.
I mean, look at Detroit, right? Detroit was 100% going to the Super Bowl this year. They got knocked out by Washington. Every year's its own entity. Every week's its own entity. These are living, breathing organisms, and there's zero guarantee with it. A lot of reasons to be excited. We're not trying to be pessimistic here, but one guy, we talked about all the hits, and the hits are significant of all the things that have gone well. The Lattimore thing today was
bad.
He plays on such an edge that sometimes it's just too far gone. Now, A.J. Brown ripped his helmet off. I don't know how that's only a penalty on Lattimore, but throughout that drive, the PI that was right there.
Yeah, with that's
probably the easiest call that refs had all
right.
year. I mean, he was all over him.
Devonta Smith over there.
I am not ready to make a proclamation about what Lattimore is or isn't and what the trade is or isn't, but you hope that it looks different next year.
Absolutely. That's something that I am sure Joe Witt and Dan Quinn want to kind of rein in. And for all the frustration about that play, or maybe where A.J. Brown should have gotten, an unsportsmanlike. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the one back in D.C., got his head ripped off.
Yeah.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson got the expulsion. So
what is the term?
What's
coexisting? Well, I can't think of when each side gets a penalty. Offsetting?
Offsetting.
Yeah.
That should have been offsetting over there in the end zone with A.J. Brown. And quite frankly, I think it changed a little bit the outlook of this game, because Marshawn Lattimore is fired up and has one unsportsmanlike. He has to play a certain type of way the rest of the way, or he's getting ejected. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can go in there and needle, do what they got to do to try and get him out. And ultimately, I think that's why you saw a little bit of kind of Lattimore being left on one side of the field instead of traveling or doing anything extra with A.J. Brown, because they were worried about kind of how fired up all those things were going to get. So things are happening behind us.
Hold on, DJ, show the world. Get out of this B-roll. Show the world Big Dom. Oh, dude, that's what's
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, yeah.
We got Pete Davidson. We got Big Dom. We got things happening over here. Listen, these Eagle folks are excited. I saw Pete trying to have a couple one-handed catches over there. Did you make any of them? We made one. All right, hey, one's good. One's pretty good. So,
all right, we're just showing you what's going on.
We're just showing you what's going on around here.
I don't know who the dude in the middle is.
No, neither do I. Quite frankly, I'm impressed that I knew who Pete Davidson was.
Dude, that's a hell of a pull. I knew him, but I couldn't think of the name.
I know I am bad with celebrities.
He also, for the dude that's always supposedly like drugged out, he seems completely with it. Trying to make one-handed catches. Answered your question, just shouting from the peanut gallery.
Peanut butter and jelly gallery.
That was. I don't get. What does that mean?
I don't know. Just trying to shoehorn PB&Js in there.
So, dude, I want to be honest. Like, I have a bunch of nitpicky things here, but Philly was a better team. Like, I don't love that they chased the points early in the second quarter with the two-point conversion. But that's who they are. That's how they're wired. They're going. The math will tell them to get more points all the time.
How about let's get to an interesting and maybe important moving forward.
The Luvu thing?
I was going to say the tush-push stuff.
Yeah, which is the Luvu thing.
Yeah, but I was going to start with, you had the Lattimore penalty. They end up going for 2 because they're half the distance.
Yeah.
And they shut down that tush-push there. And that doesn't happen often here in Philly. And obviously, late in the game, you get down here. Have you seen the referee report yet? I haven't had a chance to.
I wonder if
we asked for an NFL pool report to get some answers on what happened with that.
Luvu's trying to time the snap. Right. How can you possibly say, "Hey, we're going to award them a touchdown"? I read something that the awarding of a touchdown is supposed to be for something crazy, like a fan jumps out of the crowd or something. Like, it's not supposed to be.
Well, and they're going hard counts. They're doing all these different things to try and. Listen, that play is borderline unstoppable, right? I mean, like, we've seen them be.
They stopped it at the goal line, though.
Right. They've been so successful. I love that Dan Quinn, Joe Witt, that this defense decided to try and attack that a different way, that they tried to do something different, because clearly lining up 11 on 11 and trying to get underneath it and stop Jalen Hurts isn't going to happen. Jalen Hurts set a record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in the NFL playoffs.
Broke Steve Young's record,
Steve Young's. I mean, like, that play is so tough to beat that, what are you supposed to do?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm busy tweeting out a photo of Big Dom and Pete Davidson. What a world.
What did you think of the whole run of plays down here? It was literally right here at the goal line, right behind us.
I just think the notion of awarding a touchdown is beyond junk to me. That is complete participation trophy, avocado toast junk. And
to break out that rule in this moment is
he's trying to
absurd.
time the snap, and they're going hard count.
Absolutely absurd.
Like, he's trying to time the snap, and they're going hard count. I mean, was it a little over the top? He was kind of smiling and laughing about it. But to me, that's the NFL's problem with, half the distance.
Right.
Like, that's the problem,
It is.
Hey, Pete.
You want to tell DC how you're feeling right now?
Oh, no.
What do you think of Jaden Daniels?
Oh, man, he's incredible. I mean, to be a rookie and not play like a rookie is pretty incredible. They should be very happy, and they're going to be a scary team next year.
What's your excitement level watching these guys?
Your guys. Oh, I mean, you see your team go to the Super Bowl is very exciting.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, but I hope the Commanders are happy with their season because they did an amazing job.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Be good.
Take care,
good.
Man. Well, that was cool.
Yep. There we go.
He couldn't be nicer.
Yeah, nicest guy ever.
Changed my opinion. I don't know that I had much, but